I'm glad you like them. Do you know that the main reason for doing them, Pete, is the fact that my mum lives all the way down in a place called Cheltenham, which is like 303 miles away.
Wow.
So because of the COVID, because she's down in England and I'm up here in Scotland,
Yeah.
so she's never had the chance to come up. We haven't really had the chance to go down and see her. So one of the things that my younger sister, I've got two younger sisters. One of the things that the elder of the two did was to get my mum an iPad,
Okay.
which she was dead against. She was dead against this iPad. She was like, "I'll never use it. I wouldn't know how to use it." Well, of course, what with my sister and her kids going and visiting Granny and showing her how to use it, she's getting very good at using the iPad and of being able to comment on Facebook videos. So if I post a
Yeah.
video that's like a walk with Jock, then
Oh
she
yeah.
can go and see it. And
Yeah.
and of course with her, I've been up here now 30. I'm going to say 38 years. I've been in Scotland, and with all the visits that they've had to Scotland, like my mum and my dad when he was around, he passed away in 2008, which is 13 years ago, but it only seems like yesterday.
Yeah.
But they're
Same thing with my parents too. They're gone quite a bit
yeah,
too, and it seems like it's just yesterday too. I just said
yeah.
hi to them.
And Pete, do you ever get times when you sort of you've got a query and you think, oh, I'll just ask my dad about this, and
Yeah.
it's like all of a sudden you think, oh, how can I ask him?
Yeah.
It would be so normal just to pick up the phone, Dad, what's the situation here?
Yeah. Yeah. I get that all the time. I'm going, well, he's not around. What are you doing? What are you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah,
Yeah. So,
and
I
it's
mean,
and
you have, I mean, he's he's been part of the family as long as I can remember, and just out of the clear blue, Well, my
yeah,
mom went first, but I'm just saying, and they were together 50 some years too,
yeah,
and that's a long time. So, but
yeah,
I know what you're getting at. Yeah, I get that all the time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I get it regularly because hi there, Ali. See you later. That's my daughter
Oh, okay.
heading off. Say hi to Nat for me. Oh, okay, okay.
So, how
She
many daughters you got? You said two?
Well, I've got because I've got a previous kids, from other
Oh,
relationships. So
okay.
I've got I've
Like me too.
yeah, I've got a daughter
Yeah.
to Sonia, and then I've got twins, Joanne and Liam, to
Okay.
Jill, and then
Okay.
then we've got Ali and him to Eunice, and it's. Not that I get to see everybody, and I'm just wondering if that's the same for you. Do you get to see? I mean, you can't get to see all the kids all
Oh
the
yeah.
time, and they don't always keep in touch,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
often
because
it's the case with kids.
they got their own families, and
Yeah,
it's yeah, and yeah. The only other one I had with somebody else was Brad, and once in a while we text back and forth. But the other kids, the only one I text otherwise than Brad is Blaine. Once in a while we talk texting, so not lately, but once in a while I'll see them out there. But all the other ones, and I don't hold nothing against them because they got their own lives and their own families.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And what about Laura's kids? Because she's got 5 as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. I see them all the time. They come over and visit her, so it's like And the same thing with my kids. I had with Laurie. I mean, with Barb. They go over and visit Barb. So as
Yeah,
long as I'm not with her, they're over there, just like Laurie's kids are over here when they visit her. So I see them all the time. Actually, Bill Jr. We went out to all you can eat breakfast today at Two Rivers Family Restaurant, and him and his kid was with us. So yeah, I see them a great deal. So I
yeah,
understand how that works.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the oldest would be. Am I right in saying Jason? Is
Yeah,
Laura's
yeah,
oldest?
yeah. Yeah,
how old is he now?
and he's let's see, she had him by somebody else. I'm thinking
Yeah.
40. He just had a birthday. We celebrated it a
Wow.
couple months ago.
Yeah.
He's with a friend. I'm not going to say girlfriend, but the friend happens to be a girl,
Yeah.
and she staged it at a VFW, and we all met there, and she pulled it off because he pulled up there and didn't have any idea. Yeah, we had fun. I'm pretty sure 40.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
well, like
Yeah.
Brendan, he's 31 already, so it's like, holy Christ, where's time flying?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. It just suddenly. I mean, as I say, I'm think as I say today, we were um, spreading the ashes of my father-in-law who passed away.
oh, sorry to hear that.
Not back in November, but the November
Yeah,
before that. And what happened? The family spread half of the ashes on his son's grave. The son, the oldest, Eunice's oldest brother, was killed by in a road accident
yeah,
back in the 70s, and
yeah,
hardly knew him.
yeah,
So half the ashes were spread then, but the other half was saved to spread out to sea.
yeah.
There's been a
Yeah, somebody out there was
I
asking me how I met Barb. Through
oh
Steve,
yeah, go on
through Steve. So, yeah,
then. Did you and Steve used to hang out at all?
yeah. At one time,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if we went to the same grade school, but yeah, we became friends, and yeah, we hung out all the time, and that's how I met Barb, because he says, hey, at the time he says, yeah, my sister's pretty hot. You want to meet her? So,
Yeah. Wow.
so
Wow.
yeah, so one thing led to another. So I'm not gonna get too open here, because there's half the
Yeah.
people I don't even know. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
I was gonna.
one thing went to another, and yeah, we had some good times and bad times, but you know,
I mean, I suppose that the question would be, what did you make of Steve back then? I mean, presumably this was before a lot of the troubles.
oh yeah, yeah, this was before. Yeah, actually, Barb and I were still together yet, and when that beach incident happened,
Yeah.
yeah, just right after that, then but yeah, I was out there with her, and when he left, and all the cops, we had 8 people telling him what time he actually left, and the cops were calling us all liars, but that's the
Mm,
way it
yeah.
goes. But otherwise, yeah, back then, yeah, yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, so I met her
Okay.
through Steve, and yeah,
Yeah. And sorry, what sort of guy was he like back then?
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
Steve. Yeah, he had his moments. He was really a nice friend, and then he was really, well, we're still friends, but I mean, at times he had his times, and in his times he had his kind of, I don't know, meanness a little bit, but
right.
I don't know. He never really did take anything out on me, but when he wasn't in a good mood, then I knew it was kind of time to leave. You know how you get
Okay.
those
Yeah.
days where, yeah, you
Yeah.
get those days where you don't really, you know, everything goes bad. So
Yeah. I mean, from what I can understand, was it Alan had an accident or something, and then Chuck was there was something about Steve left school early in order to help with the family business, and we know obviously that Dolores would often drive trucks and
yeah.
pick up wrecks and stuff. I mean, was I've seen this with kids myself, that sometimes they, for want of a better word, they are forced to grow up a little bit sooner than maybe they would want to.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I seen that. I seen that in Earl when I was out there. He was pretty young, and
Yeah.
he was doing things already that at a certain age, and I'm going, wow, that's kind of quick, So
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen it whereby like there was one family I went to where the oldest matured incredibly quickly once once the mum and dad had split up. He was then kind of like left in charge to
Yeah.
of the other three lads, and he was like suddenly from this laissez-faire attitude of whatever to then being the one that's like having to organize his younger brothers, so
Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Yeah. But with the accident, I forgot, that was a long time back, and I forgot what he had, what happened,
Mhm.
what was the accident was about. But yeah, I remember something, but I don't remember exactly what the deal was. So
Sure. I must say that yes, there's been, and I don't want to speculate on this at all. There has been some sort of rumor going around that there's something happened to Jane Sharp, but I honestly have no idea um, how Jane is. So I really don't want to speculate. I've been in touch with Diane. I left it with Diane. Hopefully everything is fine, but we'll just have to wait and see on that one. So I'm really sorry. I do not know what the story is with Jane. You've met Jane before, Pete. Jane she's from near Manchester in England. Jane Sharp,
uh,
sharper than a pencil.
oh, okay. Probably if I see her, probably was she
Yeah.
at one of the rallies or?
Well, no, but she was at the London rally that was organised
Oh, okay.
a couple of
I
years
probably
back.
seen. Yeah, I probably seen her.
Yeah, I just remember that when we got back. Oh no, sorry, when we were in Australia, that was me, the Hod, myself, the dude, and Stacey. And I remember the dude saying to me, "Look, I've got this order for a control question T-shirt." I don't know if you know anything about these control question T-shirts. I don't know if you've
I
heard
might
the
have seen
story
one,
about
but
it.
I didn't quite understand. Me, if I don't really care about it, I'll ask about it. But if it doesn't pertain anything, you know, I don't know. In my mind, interesting. Not to say anything to be mean. I just kind
Sure.
of shrug it off a little bit. So
Yeah.
I probably
It,
don't mean it, but.
yeah. I mean, the actual control question itself was a question by Fassbender to Brendan when he said that now then, Brendan, we know that Teresa had a tattoo on her stomach. Did you see that? And the whole purpose of the question is to sort of say, did you see it? And if Brendan says there was no tattoo on her stomach,
Yeah.
then that's good from their point of view. Okay, so
Yeah.
so Brendan says and so just for clarification, Tom Fassbender comes back with the "Are you disagreeing with me?" So Brendan says no, but I don't know what it was. And so, therefore, this was touted by Fassbender and Judge Hamilton as being examples of where Brendan passed the control question, which proves that he's able to sort of not be suggested to, when in actual fact it proves the complete opposite. So anyway, to come to the next bit. So the control question was something that the dude Eric Jose he would talk about quite a bit for a certain period of time of his producing videos to such an extent where sometimes rather scurrilously I would say to him, dude, can you run me through this control question again, because you knew that he wanted to talk about it, because it was to him, this this question, who shot her? Who shot her? I'm just going to come out and ask you who shot her in the head. I mean, it's so blatantly stupid. It's a
Yeah.
stupid question. For them to say we weren't leading Brendan. Well, you've just shot yourselves totally in the foot. But you did so a long time before that. But anyway, everybody remembers that as an iconic moment. The thing is, this control question is something that less people know about. You have to really follow the interviews in order to pick up on this. But the dude had picked up on this, and made a big thing about it, to such an extent that on one occasion he had Mark Hoddenett come and join him for a live chat, and I said to Mark, just for a little bit of fun, a little bit of banter, I said, if you get the chance to, ask him about the control, ask Eric Hosey about the control question. Well, he did. And of course, the dude took the bait and talked about it, the way that we knew he would. Well, after that moment, we decided me and Mark would put together a T-shirt for the dude and it was Mark that came up with the quote, ask me about the control question, copyright Eric Hosey. Okay. And so the original Eric asked me about the control question T-shirts. There's a few of them kicking around.
Okay, now I got it.
But then you see what happened was the dude said, "Look, I really like that design," and I must admit he was worried at first when I told him we've done a T-shirt for you. He thought it would be something daft about Captain Crunch, which okay, it's funny to Captain Crunch, but it's not to do with Brandon. When he realised we had coined this phrase, ask me about the control question, and it's to do with Brendan, that's when he really ran with that. He thought that is brilliant. I'm going to get T-shirts made, but what he wanted was the hashtag Brendan Dassey.
Oh.
Yeah, so he had his control question T-shirts with hashtag Brendan Dassey. It was when we were in Australia that he said, "I've got an order for a T-shirt. I've been paid for this T-shirt by somebody in England called Jane Sharp." And I said, "Well, that's fine. If you've got it with you." He said, "I've got them here, and I've got just what she wants." I said, "Well, that's fine. Give it to me. I'll post it out to her." So that's what we did. So I have no idea what the story is with Jane. I haven't heard anything from anybody to say other than anything about it. So
I've seen something too, but I didn't say nothing. I mean, a lot of rumors go around, and then they get out of proportion. So I'm going to wait till somebody that knows a little more, like you or something, to come back and confirm,
Yeah, as I say, at the moment, haven't heard anything, and so therefore, we'll just leave, not even speculate. Listen,
getting back to the interview with Brendan there,
yeah,
when about the shot her in the head. Now, if they would have never came out and said that, how long do you think that interview would have kept going? You know what I mean?
Pete, I seriously have questioned over and over and over again. At what point did those idiots? At what point did they fail to realise that they were completely feeding Brendan with everything they wanted him to say? Yeah. With all the best intention in the world, these are investigators that surely they knew and could realise what the hell it was they were saying, but they were so desperate for some sort of a story,
and to get them to go on, to go on their side,
and I don't think it really mattered to them,
no,
whether it was the truth or whether it wasn't. I think for them, the whole purpose of the exercise was to get Brendan to agree to a story that he could then stick with, and he could have become the star witness at Stephen's trial that said this is what happened.
Yeah.
And I don't think it took them very long to realise that was never, ever going to happen. I mean, last week we read that bit from, well, it was Becca, thank you, that read that bit from, Michael Cicchini's book. And it's like, not only the question is, what on earth did Brendan confess to? Because nobody knows what he confessed to because the story is so off the charts. When did he actually confess to it? Because it's over multiple interviews.
Yeah.
So when did he actually make this confession? The state can't pinpoint and say, well, this was when he made the confession, because parts of their story are from before March the 1st. Some of it's after that. They point to the fact that Brendan was forced to phone Barb and say, we did some of it after obviously O'Kelly had. I mean, I wouldn't like to speculate what you would like to do with Kaczynski and O'Kelly if you were ever in a room alone with them.
Yeah. I'm glad you can't read minds.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that the O'Kelly situation. What I found really offensive, and I think that the filmmakers Laura and Moira were the same, was when he started reading this email about the fact that I find nothing of merit or something like that with the Avery family. This is a one branch family that we need to cut down and all this kind of stuff. I mean, that must have been. What on earth is he on about?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I hope them guys are happy that they put actually two innocent people behind bars. I still like to know who the real people are, or I like to know what the real story was, Or maybe if there's possible that she is alive yet. Who knows? I don't know. It could be possible. I don't know.
And unfortunately, I'll be honest, Pete. I think that we got quite an insight into the thinking of Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department when Kenneth Peterson said it would be easier to kill Steve than to frame him, and I think that really does belie their thinking, which is that they would happily sacrifice 16-year-old Brendan Dassey, and they would happily sacrifice 25-year-old photographer Teresa Holbach in order to avoid the sheer embarrassment that they were facing.
Oh, it takes guts, to be better off to kill him? Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty powerful words. And that's coming from Manitowoc Police Department?
Ken Peterson. It would be better. It would be easier for us to kill Steve than to frame him.
Wow.
I mean,
I thought you were supposed to protect people, not
Yeah, but here's the thing: who are they protecting?
Yeah.
Protect one side rather than the other. I mean, Mary, how do they sleep? Do you know what the problem is? I think they sleep quite happily, knowing that they have done something to protect themselves.
Yeah.
To
cover their rent.
And why did they do it? Because they, because they could.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry to put it as bluntly as this. I've got a dog. Why does a dog lick its own balls? Because it can.
Yeah.
Why does the sheriff department? I'm sorry to put it as crudely as that, but if it's not really a difficult question.
Yeah.
Why did Teresa disappear? Because within 10 days and 15 days, Thomas Kusurek and Dennis Vogel were going to be facing Walt Kelly and Steve Glynn across a table. Stephen Avery was going to be there now because he was there at the depositions. One can only imagine the frustration and anger at being found out by Stephen Avery, a scrapyard man. Imagine that the chief of the sheriff's department having to face questions from the lawyer for Stephen Avery, who they had regularly had in their jail, as you know, from the time of being a youngster.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen, does it? I mean, nobody has the audacity to take the district attorney and the head of the sheriff's department and make them answer questions like that. That we're going to, well, it was going to ruin Kusurek's pension, wasn't it? He was not covered.
And back then, people do make mistakes. So if he was behind bars or something for something he did or whatever minor stuff, I know people that were, and they're out today and they corrected their mistakes that you made. If you made little mistakes or whatever, why you ended up,
Yeah. Here's an interesting question, and I would say before we look at this question, here's the problem: was the coroner called to the salvage yard? And was there sufficient confirmation that the bones, that the cremains that were found, is there conclusive proof that they're Teresa's? Now, Pete,
I heard from a lot of people out there that they weren't human bones; they were actually animal bones.
Some of them. When you see photographs of some of the bones that they've scooped up, some of them are chicken bones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is that again, this was pointed out. If you are going to cremate a human body to the extent of those cremains, the heat required would have completely destroyed some of these animal bones.
Yeah.
They would not have survived.
And to that answer there that they want from me, sure, I'll answer it. I don't know. 50% tells me that she is dead, and 50% tells me that they paid her money to go to take a trip and change her name. And well, look at this. The neighbor saw somebody driving a car on the back. What is that back road again? Cuss Road.
Cuss Road.
Yeah.
Cuss Road.
Yeah, and he called Manitowoc right away because they wanted him to check it out. Oh, don't worry about it. Well, don't you think a regular cop would say, "Hey, we'll be right out there and check it out"?
Yeah.
So right then and there. I mean, I always call the loose ends. There's so many loose ends here.
Yeah.
But part of me tells me that maybe she probably is dead, but I don't know. Part of it tells me maybe she's not. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's not our fault for speculating. It's the fact that that the investigation was so shoddy. But of course, we see you in Making a Murderer Series 1 towards the latter episodes, and you say that Brendan had this dream whereby this hooded person came to him, lifted the hood, and it was Teresa.
Yeah. Now you think a person, if you had actually killed her or mutilated her all and cut her with the big knife, wouldn't you think you would have terrible dreams? Not good.
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense.
Nah.
Yeah, I couldn't get over that. Yeah, Dad, I had a dream. Somebody came up and then he said what do you call it? A blanket or something over it.
Yeah.
Right away, I thought it was the Grim Reaper.
Grim Reaper, yeah.
No, yeah, because they do that. And then he told me, Dad, he goes, no, it's not. It wasn't the Grim Reaper. See, I'm so excited. And he said, yeah, the person took the blanket off and it was Teresa, and she said, hi, Brendan, I'm actually alive. I didn't die. So it's like, you think a person would kill somebody, you'd have killing dreams, not not reversible dreams.
No.
Yeah.
It is pretty bizarre. Well, it's as you say. I don't see how if somebody had done all the things that Steve and Brendan are supposed to have done, as you say, would have had that dream. It's pretty bizarre that Teresa would appear in a dream when Brendan's never even seen Teresa other than photographs of her.
Yeah.
That's
weird.
Yeah. Yes. There is a possibility. There is a possibility that sometimes when Steve called Teresa to the salvage yard, it was to photograph cars that they kept.
Yeah.
At the end of Avery Road, before you turn right down the rest of Avery Road, at that sort of turnaround where the bus and you remember the mailboxes are there as well, aren't they? Yeah. All the mailboxes. Now that's where the bus dropped them off, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where sometimes they would put a car for sale. So the thing is, when the bus driver says, "Yeah, I saw Teresa Holbrook taking photographs," it wasn't taking photographs at the end of Avery Road where Barb and Steve lived. It was at that turnaround.
Yeah,
because that's where the bus was turned.
Mailboxes, you can't see where.
You
can't see Steve's place from the mailboxes. It's too far.
Yeah, and there's a dip.
I think you got to at least drive like maybe a quarter of the way or half of the way before you do see it. At least a quarter of the way, but no, you can't see it from the mailboxes. But like you said, probably right where she turned around by the mailboxes.
Yeah,
maybe he had the car sitting there and she was taking pictures. That sounds more like it too.
Yeah. No, I've had that confirmed by Carla on more than one occasion that some of the cars they would, if some of the cars were being sold on behalf of the business, rather than private vehicles. So that was
sometimes they get some in instead of like Chucky or Earl or Steve would buy one, and instead of they get it for themselves, and then they change their mind. Oh, maybe I'll make a few bucks and sell it outright.
Yeah.
And sometimes it worked for them, and they change their mind. Oh, maybe I don't want it now. I'll just resell it, or sometimes they fix them up and just resell them for what they stuck into them. So I seen it done already. I had a buddy that used to do that, pick up a car like for $150 and. Back in the day, and then fix it up and sell it like for $500 or $600.
You've reminded me of when I worked in a music shop. I remember when I first started going out gigging, and I got amplification for my accordion and my drum machine, and I remember realizing that if you got like a bass amplifier and a bass speaker, you get a better sound because it's more. It's good for the low end frequencies, and I remember thinking, 15-inch that would be a perfect size. And I remember this guy traded in a bass amp and a bass speaker. Now the bass speaker was an 18-inch bass speaker.
Oh yeah.
And immediately, he traded it in for 70 quid. I said to the boss, I said. Could I buy that straight off you without having to go through the book? He said, yeah, 70 quid. So I bought it for 70 quid. I took it home and tried it, and it really, really wasn't the sound I was looking for. It was still, it wasn't bassy enough, which was bizarre. So what I did was I paid £7.50 to put an advert in the Gloucestershire Echo. And I sold it the next weekend, the weekend after we traded it in, and I bought it for 70 quid. I sold it for 140 quid, and I'd done nothing to it. And I do confess, call me a con man or whatever, but that's what I did. I put it in the Echo, thinking I'll if I just get my money back, somebody came along and tried it with a bass guitar, absolutely loved it, and I said, yeah, well, it's yours, So yeah, I mean that
Yeah,
obviously
I did
that
that.
sort of things happen. You
I
buy and
did.
sell.
Yeah, I've done that already. I paid like $100 for a couple things, and later on, it's not what I wanted, and I turned around and sold it a little more. But I never owned a 18-inch speaker, but I do got a couple pair of 15s here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did
Yeah.
have an electric guitar at one time, and I turned it up through my receiver. I got a 120 watts on each side, so
Yeah.
I turned up the bass, and yeah, you can get the window shaking here.
And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was it was it
15 is the biggest I went. Yeah, but I did
yeah.
see 18. I did
Yeah.
see 18-inch speakers though.
Yeah. 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 I mean, look, it's there's been so many comments here. As I say, as far as discrediting the bus driver, I'm absolutely sure that she is it Sheila Buckner, the bus driver, Lisa Buckner. I am sure that on one of the times that she delivered the kids back to the yard, she would have seen Teresa. I have
Yeah,
no reason to
yeah,
doubt that she saw that. But what we're saying is that it wasn't at the end of Avery Road. It was at the entrance to the salvage yard
yeah,
and where the
yeah,
bus turns around. And
yeah,
so yeah,
yeah.
no
Yeah,
wonder.
because you're right. Because the bus don't go down the road; it just goes
Yeah,
to the end, and then you turn around. So before you turn around, you go at the end of Avery Road. There, you got a right to go down to Steve's place, and then you actually, if you go straight, then that'll kind of a straight to the right a little bit. Then that goes to the yard, and then if you go to then there's like a straight left, and that goes right down to the pit. So yeah, the bus never really goes all the way down. It just turns around at the mailboxes.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, I don't know if you had a chance to see any of our chat with. I don't recall is here in the chat, and also with. Now I'm going to get this wrong, and I am, but I think I don't recall is Cherie and just Rhonda had a chat with them, and I don't recall pointed out that there's been quite a lot of change, or it would seem to be a change in the sort of the hearts and minds of the Court of Appeals, which looks good for Stephen Brendan. The fact that they are beginning to realise that they really do need to get this making a murderer thing sorted. They need to get it solved. They need to be seen to be just, and upholding of justice, and the legal system needs to be. It doesn't just need to be correct, but it needs to be seen to be correct as well, and
Yeah,
that will produce results going forward. We're still waiting, obviously, on probably the next thing is for the Court of Appeals, because I should backtrack. We have constantly got supporters of Brendan saying to Governor Evers, for goodness sake, get your head out of the sand
yeah,
and look at this case, and don't just leave it to the bureaucrats to say, oh well, he doesn't qualify for looking at any kind of clemency or any kind of pardon or anything, anything like that. We need Governor Evers to look at Brendan's case and to realise just how wrong it is. Hell, we've got legislators in other states that are coming up with this legislation that says that you cannot lie in an interrogation to a juvenile, and they're quoting Brendan's case as the prime example of why you shouldn't lie. And yet Wisconsin, seem to be just sitting back,
yeah,
and doing nothing about it.
yeah,
But I get the sense that under the surface, there are things afoot, that there is this change is beginning to happen, whereby, I mean, seriously, do the state of Wisconsin, is what they're waiting for another making a murderer for somebody else to,
Yeah. I don't know.
to highlight the ridiculous,
I
state.
heard that through a grapevine. I heard there was another one coming out, but it was instead of for Brendan, it was going to be against him. I don't know if you ever heard that. I don't know.
You know what, Pete? The filmmaker is Sean Reck of Transition Studios, and I've actually had one or two contacts with him, and I've said, look, Sean, I really like your film called White Boy Rick, and I really like your film A Murder in the Park, and he's done this documentary, 10-part documentary, apparently called Convicting a Murderer, and what was interesting was that I get the impression that his angle, having read the releases so far, is to look at whether the Making a Murderer filmmakers are trying to influence the situation. Now, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. To examine the filmmakers, but the bottom line is this. If Sean Reck and Transition Studios are not going to tackle the sort of head-on issue, well, are they guilty? Or are they not?
Yeah.
I don't think, reading through what this documentary series is about, that it's going to be as pro guilty as people think. I'm not convinced that it's going to be the absolute pro guilty, all in favour of Ken Kratz and his flock of sheep.
Yeah, or his one man band.
The
Nasty Boys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, how long is this Kathleen Zellner going to be now? What's going on with that? Everybody at work keeps asking me, well, you hear anything? I even asked Brendan on the phone Wednesday. I don't know if I told you, by the way, me and his mom got a visit the day after the rally.
Good.
Yeah. I don't know if I showed you, but here's what a farm looks like when you make it out.
Oh, yeah.
To go see him. Yeah, so.
You were telling us last week you got a whole load of them.
Yeah. Well, actually, I got a couple of them, and then my wife took them to work and ran off about 25 or 30. So this way, I always like to make them out ahead of time. So then this way, when we get there, well, they say driver's license, and then they instead of just making out there, because sometimes you got a big row, of people waiting. Well, that was before. I don't know how they're doing it now, but.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Pete, as I say, to give you the sort of honest, straightforward, simple answer, for me, unfortunately, Brendan is waiting, and unless we have some fantastic, sort of awakening by Governor Evers, we are waiting on the Court of Appeals to decide on whether to remand the case back to Judge Angela Sutkovich, on the basis that there's this witness, Tom Surinsky, that saw Bobby and some unnamed person in his late 50s, 60s, who's about 6 foot tall with a long grey beard, which doesn't match. Anybody, it doesn't match Pete. It doesn't match anybody else connected with the Avery or family or Dassey family. And there's even, as Becca said last week, could it even be that this sighting of Bobby, could it be somebody else that looks similar? Mike Osmond's son, for example. We just don't know. But the point is, right? This witness. This is the point of it. This Thomas Surinsky, who is a credible witness, saw two people pushing a RAV4 on Saturday morning into the salvage yard. They saw him pushing this. They saw this vehicle being pushed. They reported it to the Manitou County Sheriff's Department, who said, "We're not interested."
Wow. Well, just like Steve's first incident on
exactly,
the beach. Yeah,
exactly.
Mistaken identity. Hey, haven't you gone to the store and seen like? Oh, I did this the other day. I used to work with I worked at Hamilton's for almost 30 years, and I went up. The voice was real, and then I says, "Hey, how are you doing?" And all of a sudden they turned around and it wasn't the person that I thought it
Yeah,
was, but they were so similar to the looks and everything. Oh my God, I felt 2 inches big. I'm sorry, I thought you reminded me of somebody. And I says, "Is it that bad?" He says, "No, it was that good." You know.
yeah,
You
yeah.
ever see that? You ever see somebody that reminds you of?
A lot of the time, a lot of the time. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's mistaken identity. When you've got people convicted and it's purely on eyewitness testimony, you know there's a problem here, because even with Penny Bernstein,
yeah,
after Steve was convicted, she actually got in touch with Thomas Kinserk and said, did we get the right person? And he says, don't worry about it. When the police department came to Thomas Kinserk and said, you've got the wrong guy, it's this Gregory Allen. No, we've got authority here.
yeah.
It's
And
That's troublesome.
I can understand Penny because she's dazed and she's
Yeah,
and she's trying to get away. So and dazed and confused. So I can understand her thinking that it looks kind of like Steve, even though it didn't. But I mean, even though it wasn't. But
yeah,
yeah, there's a thing called mistaken identity. I believe that.
yeah. Well, the thing is that for Penny Bernstein, she's actually on the record as saying that she cannot remember the attack being by this Gregory Allen. She's seen pictures of Gregory Allen, and that image has been completely removed from her memory and replaced by Stevens, because that was the image that they presented to her right from the word go. Said, this is the guy that did it. You now just confirm it for us, and just follow. You just look at these photos. Here's somebody you've seen before.
Yeah.
It's. I must admit, I've read a couple. That was also in the book by Michael Cicchini.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's called. I think that's called Convicting Avery by
Yeah.
Michael Cicchini. Have I got it up here? Or I've got it upstairs. I've got a whole load. No.
Yeah, I can imagine what you got. Big library there.
Ah, it's not that big, but it's growing.
Okay.
I've ordered up a couple of books. And listen, everything to do with the case. I've
Somebody said Ken Kratz even came out with one?
well,
Or he's gonna, or
he
maybe I
did,
don't. Oh, he
he
did.
did,
Okay,
he did,
I
he
can
did.
imagine what his version's like.
Yeah, yeah. Sandy Greenman apparently read sort of a few chapters of it and then gave up because it was just so twisted.
Yeah.
What's interesting, I have never ever read Ken Kratz's book. I've seen bits of it and heard bits of it, and what I did was I went with the book reviews. I went with the Amazon book reviews of his book, and just about every single one of them was like, man, this is ridiculous what you're writing. This is so far fetched, and that's it's interesting, isn't it? We haven't heard anything from Ken Kratz for a while. He seems to have dropped off the face of the earth. I can't help
Yeah.
thinking that he wants total anonymity, and at the moment he's enjoying that. But I tell
Oh
you
yeah.
what,
Yeah.
he is gonna really have to face the limelight pretty soon.
Yeah. I hope it's I hope it's
Yeah.
more sooner than later.
Well, so do we all. So do we all. Yeah.
I can imagine what he's doing these days. Is he still doing what he's doing, or is he is he doing other stuff now?
You know, he used to live apparently somewhere near. Um, I'm going to say over at Appleton. I believe he was somewhere that
Oh,
sort of
okay,
that sort of area.
okay.
I'm trying to think of other people that are nearby. I mean, Nina isn't that far away from Appleton, is it?
No,
No,
Nina,
I know
Nina's
Brad.
that,
Brad's
and Nina's not that far away from Oshkosh either.
yes. I'm going to say
Yeah, yeah,
I'm sure it's the neck of the woods where you've got like so your son Brad, you've
yeah,
got Sandy Greenman, you've got
yeah,
a good friend of this channel is Rob Bellin,
yeah.
who's a lawyer over there. And yeah, Ken Kratz sold up his house. This which was apparently, you know, he talks about him being the prize. I have the what did he describe it as, the $300,000 house?
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah,
from what I can ascertain, it wasn't worth that much when you were desperate to move out. Here's the interesting thing: Millbilly reckons reckons he saw Ken Kratz filling up with fuel in Milwaukee.
oh, okay.
There was a rumor that he'd moved to California for whatever reason, but you know, I don't know where he's gone. I
Oh,
have no idea where he's gone.
That Mary says on the last text, Mel Billy
Yeah.
took a pic of him. Oh, okay.
hmm hmm
I hope it's not his double. They say there's a double of you in the world. I hope not of him.
Yeah. 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 No,
I just thought I'd throw that in there.
yeah, no, I can well imagine that Ken Kratz is desperate to make himself as scarce as possible
Oh yeah, yeah,
because I think he knows that there's trouble ahead.
yeah.
You know, and you look. Do you want to know something really bizarre?
What is that?
That is the fact that there are some lawyers who are, shall we say, pro Stephen Brendan, that actually share or have a small inkling of sympathy for him over the texting scandal
Oh,
and the fact that he was outed because of that. Because I suppose, you know, it's as we've seen with people in power, they have weaknesses. You know, they tell us, the lowly common people, you mustn't do that, otherwise you'll be punished. But yet they carry on doing it themselves because there's no fear of being caught. Um, you know, so within, I would say, possibly within certain sectors of the legal community, there is this very slight bit of sympathy for Ken Kratz in the fact that when we watch Making a Murderer, we can't understand why he's being how he is.
yeah,
But when you actually get to know more and more about the legal system, you begin to realise that Ken Kratz is not the exception. He's not the odd one out. There are so many other attorneys like him who want to win at all costs. They will do anything to win. And you know, this is the sad thing. They have such a low opinion of other people and other people's lives that they're willing to sacrifice the likes of a 16-year-old Brendan Dassey in order to get that win.
yeah,
They really do have you know, that kind of cruelty in their mentality that you know, it might be cruel to Brendan, but it's going to get me here, therefore I'll do it
yeah.
because I've nobody that's going to stop me. And if it hadn't have been for, if it hadn't have been for Making a Murderer, we wouldn't be here chatting tonight, would we?
Oh yeah, that's when they asked me to, do the videos and that, the making of a murder or whatever. I agreed to it because I wanted to stick up for my boy, and I was right
Yeah.
there for him. And I mean, they were here. They shot the They shot. Well, what I'm in number one, but I'm mostly in number two. Is that it?
Yes.
I forgot. Yeah. Well, when they made that, they were here 6 hours. Hey, holy crap!
Yeah.
And everything had to be perfect. I mean, if this was making a noise, oh, we can't shoot it, and everything had to be perfect, and it's like I couldn't even driving over by Barb, I couldn't even make any noises in my car. I had to be quiet. So I couldn't even have the radio on. Boy, it was really something. But yeah, yeah. And if it wasn't for them guys, look at all the people on here. I thank everybody for being here. I mean, I got 30 people that are cluing into us right now. He's got supporters all over this world,
Mm-hmm.
and on the other side of the world. And yeah, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have all these friends and all these lovely supporters out there. And eventually, they're going to get theirs. We just have, like, you hear that saying, uh, things happen. Things happen to people that wait. Well, we waited this long. If we have to wait a little longer, something's good going to come out of it.
Well, yeah. I mean, look. I'll be honest with you, Pete. I think for Steve, when he's released, and I've spoken to psychiatrists about this,
Yeah,
and they have basically said that when Steve is released, there is going to be very little that any psychiatrist can do to help him because he's just been in the
yeah,
system
yeah,
wrongfully for so long. But they
yeah,
say with Brendan, because when he's released, he might be coming out as a 31, 32-year-old, but he's
yeah.
still in many ways the same 16-year-old that was arrested on March the 1st. That they can work with Brendan. They can
Yeah, I
they
just hope his mind ain't too
yeah, yeah,
like he's gonna have to ask, when he comes home. I hope he doesn't have to ask. Well, can I do this? Can I do that? He's got to relearn. He's got to relearn to train. I have somebody at work that was locked up for 6 years, and they were
wow,
explaining it to me when they got out, because everything's different, everything
yeah.
changes, and he's got to go back into it slow. So I just hope that he just takes his time and views how everything it is, and he takes his time. And if he wants me to be there for him, and he wants to move in here for a while or wherever he's going to go,
Yeah.
I mean, he knows he's got a room upstairs. So,
Yeah, do you know what? Do you know? I bet he's had hundreds and hundreds of offers when he's released. Hell, I've even said to Steve Drizzen, I've written to Steve Drizzen and said, look,
yeah,
if you want to send him to the Scottish borders, I'll gladly have him. And we've
wow,
got great psychological care here in the borders,
yeah,
and he's more than welcome to come here. And we'll have a room set up for you as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I know,
But
he'd be in good hands with you. I mean, there wouldn't be. I wouldn't have to worry about that.
yeah, yeah. But no, I mean, the
Yeah,
thing is that I I I can't see Brendan being best served by staying, certainly not in Manitowoc County, or
yeah,
or
yeah.
to be honest, a lot of places in Wisconsin, it's going to be difficult.
Oh yeah,
I
because I'm
you
sure there's
know
going to be a lot of people that are going to tease him,
yeah.
and saying bad things. Because there's a handful of bad people out there that.
Well, no, what I was going to say was that I think that the amount of support that he's got throughout the world shows that 99.9% of people that know him are in favour, are
Yeah,
supporters of him.
yeah,
But what would concern me would be that it would be a good idea to go somewhere where he can basically be anonymous, so that very few
Yeah,
people know know
yeah,
know who know him and his story, and therefore he can just be just an ordinary guy that's
yeah.
that suddenly turned up
Sit
somewhere.
back and sit back and
Yeah,
relax and be comfortable
yeah,
and get his freedom back,
mhm,
and the
yeah,
notion of being behind bars away from his
yeah, yeah. Whereas I get the impression with Steve, once he was exonerated in '03, he was quite happy with all of that media attention of appearing with the governor, appearing with Mark Gundrum, going and speaking here, and being this celebrity. I get the impression that Brendan would want to shy away from all that kind of being a celebrity.
yeah. Could you see the big after he's released? Could you see the big get together? Oh
I
my God,
can,
that's gonna be like five rallies just in one.
yeah,
You know.
I think the Avery Salvage Yard is going to rock that night.
I know, but no fires, just no fires,
No, no, no,
no
no
fires,
fires, no fires allowed.
just a rock band with some music.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or whatever. Yeah,
do,
yeah. You got
do
me
you
going
know?
with the fires.
Exactly. I do not want to hear about any more Avery or Dassey having a bonfire.
Yeah,
I just think no, forget it, guys.
yeah.
But anyway, Pete, do you know what we've absolutely had a whale of a time, and that's an hour gone already.
All
Can
right.
you can you
It
imagine that?
only seems like 30 minutes.
I
I mean,
know, I know.
yeah, I know. I have such a great time with you. I mean, your family to me. You share your dog. You share
Yeah.
your dog every day with me, and I should start filming. I should start filming mine here. So
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. Do you know? Do
yeah,
you know what?
yeah,
Do you know? It's incredible. The more you film, the more you get. You don't always get great footage. I've got a load of stuff that's never going to see the light of day because it's
yeah,
not worth the light of day.
yeah,
But every now and again, you get that little gem that because you had the camera rolling at that point in the day. Yeah. I mean, that was something else you touched on was that I was saying about Brendan. To me, Brendan and himself are quite similar. I remember I first contacted you a long time ago, and obviously I spoke to you at the rally, but it's
yeah,
really only been recently that I would say you, Pete the Moose, has kind of come out your shell a little bit, and
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
it's probably been quite a process whereby maybe sort of 5 years ago that was the last thing you wanted to do was to be
yeah.
an
Yeah, I was
to
kind of
be
quiet. Yeah, I was
be
kind of quiet. And I wanted to be behind.
yeah,
Like my wife is like that. She's quiet. She wants to
yeah,
be behind the scenes. But what persuaded me to come out is because I'm Brendan's father, and I want
yeah,
to speak for him. And
absolutely,
Brendan's kind of inside of me saying, "Hey, let's get this out and get
yeah,
the people going here." And
yeah.
that's why I did it. Otherwise, I could be behind the scenes too.
Well,
You wouldn't believe it when I was a kid that I was a
you were
kid that
shy.
yeah, people would come over. I'd hide in the other room. My dad says, "Get out here, get out here. You don't have to be so shy." Yeah, that was really me. Yeah, and
Yeah,
look at here. I'm on a show right now. 32 people are watching us. I love every one of them, and it's like I'm not having any shyness going on now.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, it's just you've got something that you need. I mean, I remember saying to you about the fact that we were talking about when we would go live, and I said to you, I said, well, I would happily go every day, and you said, well, yeah, I would go every day. I would do a live every day to talk about Brendan. And I'm
yeah,
thinking, well, that's actually maybe every day is just
yeah. It's a little bit too
yeah,
much, maybe. Yeah,
maybe, but I can't help thinking that in the grand scheme of things, it would be great for us to have the Pete Dassey YouTube channel.
yeah, yeah. I know you guys always tell me that. Yeah, Yeah, get rid of the moose and just go up my regular name then.
No. Stick with the moose. The moose is good.
Oh,
The
you
mo-
mean? Oh, you mean? Oh,
I,
you mean that sticks with the moose right here?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, the moose is good.
yeah,
The thing is about the moose is that in their natural habitat they're shy, but once you
yeah.
get close up, you realise how big and powerful they are,
I know.
and
I
they can make a
realize
lot of
they're
noise.
big, and
Yeah.
people hunt those things.
I well, yeah,
I
that's
thought they do
no,
it. Or yeah, I don't
yeah,
want to hear.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't really want
That's
to hear about that. I don't like killing animals.
I
Yeah,
don't I
yeah. But
I
like this, people really hunt these.
exactly
You know.
exactly.
Yeah,
For me, if you go out and you shoot an animal.
yeah.
All you're exactly all you're doing is you're telling the world I am the biggest coward out there.
Yeah, yeah,
To shoot an animal.
yeah.
I'm sorry that takes a
Just like birds too. I love birds. We got
yeah
ducks that come in here, and then you could hunt mourning doves. You got mourning doves by you at all? There's hardly
no
nothing. There's hardly nothing to a mourning dove.
right
You know, a mourning
yeah
dove, a bird, a mourning dove.
it's a small bird
Yeah, yeah.
yeah I
It's
mean
probably about probably about yay big.
right yeah
Yeah,
we've got some pigeons that
yeah.
live nearby that they're
A
about the
mourning
biggest
dove
we
to
have
mourning dove to a pigeon is probably about half the size. They're not
right
as they're not as big. Yeah.
yeah
But yeah, there's people that hunt. I mean, you got your hunting and stuff. But I tried it; it was too boring. I'm either a fisherman or a football player or a wrestler. So I never got
yeah
into hunting. Killing wasn't my game. So
no
yeah, yeah. So
yeah I mean it's look I get it. That there are a lot of people in Wisconsin for whom this whole sort of not agricultural background, but the whole sort of the fact that they live out in the country, and I get the fact that like ancestors, they had to hunt to survive. It was a means of food. It was a means of getting the fur and all that kind of stuff
oh
and the
yeah, yeah,
skins.
yeah,
I get it. Historically, at one time, hunting was an industry that people had to engage in. But for me, nowadays, if you're out hunting, it's not for business. It's purely for your own pleasure. And if you
oh yeah,
take pleasure in shooting a wild animal, who you've probably hid there, waited for that moment to shoot that animal, and it's like, what on earth are you? What kind of sick individual are you that you would
yeah,
shoot that animal just
yeah,
just for the satisfaction, and then
yeah. I know.
posing with the dead animal?
Yeah.
I mean, how grotesque is that?
Like even deer hunting too. I mean, I
Yeah,
understand they do it, but I mean, deer they don't hurt you. I mean,
no.
you know.
But I
I don't
mean,
know.
as I say, maybe 100 years ago, you did it out of necessity.
Yeah,
I mean, I had debates with the dude about this, and he said, well, they obviously there's times when, for example, they'll have dead animals because of, say, roadkill.
yeah,
Fair enough. But I said, to go out and hunt these animals, what for? For the food?
yeah. Oh, and then they get
Nah.
off. They get off shooting too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't like guns neither. So
No. No. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Okie dokie. Listen, pal. I'm going to say
okay,
cheerio.
okay,
If you get a chance to speak to Brendan before
okay. Well,
before
He calls me every Wednesday. So
yeah. Well,
yeah.
tell him to tell him that I was always right from the end of Series 1, Episode 10. I remember he there's a thing that he reads out. He says, "Dear people of the world, help me if you can." And I thought it was very interesting. He said people of the world. It wasn't just people in America. It wasn't just people in Wisconsin. It was people in the world. Let him know, and I'm sure he knows this already, but the people of the world are listening.
Okay. Yeah.
And we know about him, and we will, we will keep doing as many chat videos and other videos talking about Brendan. We're just going to keep talking till him and Uncle Steve are walking.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yep.
Everybody's saying cheerio on here. I'm smiling because I hear
I
cheerio.
listen. I'm gonna mute my microphone, and you can finish up and say what you want to say, and we'll see you next week.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Paul. I love everybody out there. Hey, keep watching. We'll be back next week, Sunday at 2, because Paul used to do it on Saturdays. Now he's got a thing going, which I understand. So see you next week, Sunday. Thanks for everybody tuning in. And I love all you guys out there. Okay. And from the big moose on the loose, we'll see you next week. And thanks, Paul Capaldi, for arranging the meeting today with us. And I understand why you were a little late. So, okay. Goodbye, everybody.